What's up, y'all? It's Jay here, your accountability coach and ghetto psychologist, and it is my life's purpose to help Black people navigate this patriarchal system of white supremacy. And welcome to Lovely Thoughts. On this channel, you will get the thoughts of me, Jay Lovely, opinions, rather expert, rather not. Sometimes it's going to be a psychological analysis. Sometimes it's just going to be my own personal opinion about things. We're going to be talking about world news, celebrity news, everything you think of in between. So today is what's today? It's November. Oh my, I still can't believe it's November. It's November the 13th, 2025. Last night finally ended the longest government shutdown in US of A history. And it's no wonder that the longest government shutdown has happened under the worst president in our history. And even so that this same president said that a long shutdown or a shutdown in general actually is the mark of a bad president. I got a lot to say today, just about the state of the world and the state of humanity. As yes, my plight is to help Black people, but in helping Black people, it's a trickle effect, right? When Black people what affects one group of us always affects us all, whether inadvertently or directly. So some of us don't realize that, hey, what happens to this community still affects my community because I still have to be around these people. We are living on the same planet. This is what y'all don't understand. We might not face the same reality, but we all are living on the same planet. So if my reality, differs from yours, which is likely, of course, because we all have our own individual bodies and lives to live. But if my reality is so much more different than yours, to the point where you can't even understand my reality, even though we're all in the same place, that's the problem that we are facing as humans. Nobody can see themselves. And when we fail to see ourselves, we fail to see other people. Or maybe we're hyper focusing on one part of ourselves. Maybe you're hyper focusing, and most times, what we hyper focus on is our own victimhood. So much so that we can't see our own privilege. Yes, I'm a Black woman, right? Black woman. As you see, I got 4C hair. Nigga, all right. Grew up in the South. I don't want to say I grew up poor, but definitely has some socio-economic factors to consider, just in the world in general, but especially being Black. I wouldn't say I was like, we were middle class. I don't think we're middle class, but when I think of poor, there's still levels to poorness, right? You got some people who just, their lives was always off. They didn't know what their next meal was coming from. I never experienced that. But I did, so all of my basic needs were always met. So I wasn't poor in that sense. But poor in the sense where if it was one or two paychecks away from all of us experiencing homelessness, especially when it's only one person, well, two people only providing for a group of people. So that's the life that I lived growing up. And I'm making a point here. Despite my outer appearance, right? My privilege would be, it's not much privilege because I'm a Black woman, but my privilege would be I'm cisgender. That's number one. So I'm not trans, you know. I am the gender that I was born as. So gender is the sex I was born as. So I don't have to deal with that kind of plight. That's one area of privilege, depending on how you're looking at it. Some people might say it's not a privilege. Some people might say it's not. I mean, it is. Just depends. But that's one area to consider. And then you have the fact that I'm a light-skinned Black woman. I look at myself, I know that I'm of the lighter side, the lighter persuasion. I might pass a brown paper bag test. I might be right there. Honestly, though, that's what y'all don't get. And in the summertime, I might not pass it all, depending on the on the paper bag we use. But point being, regardless, is I have areas of privilege there. If we go back to when I was financially sound, when I was in the middle class, because I was middle class, I did experience some upward mobility for a good little bit of my life. But when I was there, then I could understand that was an area of privilege. I'm poor again, y'all, because I'm in the middle of an internship. Anybody doing an internship is poor, even if the internship is paid. Just want y'all to know that. So that being said, though, I'm saying all of that to say that I'm not blinded by my areas of privilege just because I have areas of victimhood too. A lot of people holding on to, like I said, that victimhood so much so that they can't see their area of privilege, i.e., white women and black men, i.e., other women of other, just not even other people who are not black. They never see what privileges they have in just not being black, or maybe just not even identifying as being black. Cause some of them just look as black as me. Matter of fact, let me tell you, the only one time that somebody asked me if I was mixed, cause I feel like I'm unambiguously black. But the first time that somebody asked me was a Middle Eastern man. I think he was Indian. He was Middle Eastern, right? And he looked at me. He was like, "You look like my people." I'm talking about off the boat. He was off the boat. Yeah, he understood and spoke English, but he was not good at it. You can tell he was not proficient. But he told me I look like his people, and in my mind, I'm like, "No, your people look like me. I'm black. Everything come from me." So, yeah. But that being said, we got to be able to recognize our area of privilege. And that's why I feel like as people, we don't see that. And it's very hard for white people, especially white men primarily, to see their areas of privilege. And I'm going to use an example of a situation that I experienced at my part-time job. So white fella came in and he was upset about something. Not going to really go too far into detail, but he was upset that the company that I work for went up on the price on him, as they can do so as specified in their contract. So he made it seem like he was being scammed. Mind you, he already talked to my other coworker, which was a white woman, who basically tried to help him in the situation best as she could, and she couldn't. So this was a couple of days ago before talking to me. So I'm minding my, like I said, my black ass business, and he come in there and he raising his little bit of sand, and I'm just like trying to see if I can help him. I'm like, I can't help you because somebody tried to help you 2 days ago. I see, and that didn't work out the way you wanted. What made you think my black ass could do something different? If that white lady can't do nothing different, what make you think I could? Is it that y'all think that black women are more capable? Or is it that you just want to come in here and just be a white man Karen? And really, white men are more Karen than Karens are, but women just know how to continuously complain while white men do something about their complaints most of the time. Anyway, so he came in feeling all entitled. I told him there's nothing I could do. He was like, "Man, this is bull crap. How can they rationalize doing?" I'm like, "Well, it's in the contract. That's how you can rationalize it. It's in the contract. Read your rental agreement. Read your agreements. Like, it's in the contract." So he's like, "Okay, well," I'm like, "Well, and he said something else, and it made me say, "Well, this capitalist society we live in." He's like, "Well, capitalism is great." I didn't say capitalism wasn't great. I just say this is a part of capitalism because it is. People going up in their price and it being specified in their contract that they can do so. It's capitalism. So he's like, well, like I said, well, I don't want to go to socialism because I work too hard. I didn't say anything about socialism. I just said, welcome to capitalism. Take that as you must. Just because you're going through a negative situation, you need to understand that the things that you love have negative parts to them. And this brings me to the point that with white people and their entitlement and their privilege, they are so blinded by their privilege that they can't see the downside of the things that they get the most privilege from. Capitalism is a privilege to white people, right? Yes, it's a privilege to the people who have the money, but the way they set the system up is the people who have the money is most likely going to be white. So the main thing that they are getting the privilege from through capitalism, it blinds them from the downside of capitalism, which is always going to be about money. So that means, yes, when you get into a relationship with someone where you are paying them on a monthly, daily, weekly basis, if in the contract they say they can go up on the rate based on the market, very capitalist, you have nothing to do. You can't do anything about it. All you can do is end that relationship. This is capitalism. And you white people don't even know the downside of capitalism because y'all been brainwashed the most. White people are the most brainwashed group of people on this fucking planet because they set the rules and standard of humanity so much so that they can make you believe that this is the way it's supposed to be. That God said it, right? Because they even fuck with the Bible. But they set this standard and they made everything look great because that's what supremacy is. That's what white supremacy does. It makes everything that they make or they establish or they create, it makes it look great. It's exalted above all things, but they can't even see the downside to it. You don't even know the downside of the capitalism that you love so much. You're just now realizing, a lot of these white people are just now realizing how terrible America is. White people are just now realizing. Black people been knowing. We've been knowing from the conception of this country. Because the conception of this country was founded on our backs of our ancestors. Literally. So you got these white people out here not even understanding. And that goes in point with this whole government shutdown. It's just the privilege is so there. And if you can recognize, if you as a white person, if anybody, right, who has a level of privilege can recognize where the people who don't have that same privilege are getting punished for it, basically. Like they experiencing consequences. I'm getting consequences for being poor, right? And in a elitist classes mind, well, it's work harder. Shit is not that fucking simple. Not when there's systematic oppression, not when there are other outliers and other factors that contribute into why people are poor. It's deeper than that. And if we're gonna say that, because a lot of times these elitists are saying that, and they're white people most of the time, they're saying that because they think that most people that are poor are black. No, most people who are poor are white. There's so many poor white people, and even black people think that most white people got money. Most white people don't have money, y'all. They don't. They might be doing better than you. Yeah, that's privilege. But they don't have money neither. They broke. They poor. A lot of them. A lot of them. Right? And a lot of people are kind of having this misconception that, because I read somewhere this person put a comment on something. I can't even remember, so don't hold me to the standard. I just want to make a point of what they said. They said in this comment that most, this is the operative word that I want to focus on, most white women who are getting a government assistance like food stamps, they're only doing so by lying or not being included on their husband's incomes. And their husbands are making so much enough money that these white women don't need food stamps. That's not true. Most are being the operative word. I'm not saying there's not white women doing that, of course. There's some, but it's not as many as these people think. And that's my problem with a lot of black people is we overinflate what white people's privilege is in a sense. Either we over or under. We're never right in the middle where it really is, and that's in reality. We think that a lot more white people are doing better than they really are. Or we don't realize how white privilege is warping just the overall system that we're living in. It's either always one or the other with black people. We can't see it. And this is why, again, if you've been talking, listening to my last videos, I'm creating a book called Thorn to the Eye, shameless plug. And it's going to talk about this, right? It's going to talk about, uh, hold on, let me see. It's going to talk about, I'm just want to show y'all the book title. So this book is coming out in February. Thorn to the Eye, a Black Person's Guide to Unplugging from the System. That's the book cover, y'all, by me, J. Lovelii. I'm so excited. But I'm talking about everything that I talk about in my content will be be visited or revisited in depth in this book. So I talk about these things, these influencing factors as to why Black people are so brainwashed. And of course, I talk about really every group of people. Well, not every group specifically, but just the world, humanity in general, and how it contributes to whitewashing, white supremacy. Because again, I'm gonna say this all the time: the byproduct of white supremacy is anti-blackness, and of course, white privilege, right? Because if white people didn't go through the extent of exalting their race of people whilst simultaneously down talking, bad mouthing, or diminishing the value of other races of people, but primarily black people, because that's the trickle effect, right? If we attack black people, essentially these people know that all groups of colors come from black. Y'all want to know how deep this goes? I'm finna. Some of y'all don't even probably remember this. Black is literally every primary color mixed together. The color black. These people called us black. All right, we're black. And even in that sense, it's like a double entendre, right? Where every color derives or comes together to make black, which means that black can derive every color. Do you get what I'm saying? Some of y'all can link what I'm saying. Some people who know follow patterns. So being that I'm black and everything comes from black people, we know that science ain't been saying the same shit. The evidence is there. Even if they don't say it with their chest, they're implying it. It's empirical evidence. So if we know, right, that everything came from black, even the Hispanic groups and so on and so forth, there's evidence that 8,000 years ago, everybody was of darker pigmentation. Even white people were darker. If we know that, right, everybody comes from blackness. If we attack people that are still black, that are really black, right, then everybody else can fall in line. Because certain groups of Asian people have African culture. Latin people have African culture. We already know the people in the Caribbean have African culture. South Americans, African culture. African culture is every fucking where, right? And it's in everything except white people. And even when it's in them, they just appropriated it, and we didn't know that it was from African culture. So let's attack the source. And the source will always be black people. So if we can get the first people, the first modern human in line, if we can get the modern humans in line, then of course we can get everybody else in line. You don't attack a snake at the tail, you attack it at the head. And a lot of y'all don't see that link, right? Right? Why is it that black people are always on the attack? Of course, it's the continent in which we derive from, because Africa is the best continent on this planet. It is the most pilgrimaged country ever, where people just come in and take over, you know. But it's just also the most resourceful. It's where the most people are. It's just Africa is the shit, right? So being that black people derived, and there's no doubt about it that black people derive from Africa, then that's where it all started, why they wanted to attack us. Then they realized, oh, these people have extensive knowledge. Like, they're naturally brilliant. Y'all motherfuckers building pyramids and shit. That shit I ain't never seen before. Motherfuckers building pyramids. Motherfuckers is creating whole systems and civilizations that are flourishing. Oh no. I want to take this. And that's that Neanderthal DNA. I have a very big theory that, the Asians, I want y'all to know, if you don't know anything else, some of us really don't know history. And that's one of the biggest problems too when I have with everybody, but especially black people. I need y'all to understand how all of this came to part And all of this came apart, and I'm talking about this in my book too. I create the whole history of all of it. But we gotta understand that it was the Arabs that really started this whole human trafficking thing. They started this shit. And a lot of Asian people have Neanderthal DNA. The Eurasian people, when I say Eurasian, I'm talking about anybody from Europe and Asia. Most of them have Neanderthal DNA. Black people don't have Neanderthal DNA. I want y'all to understand that. This is Chat GPT proof, Google proof, everything you can look up will tell you this. Black people are not the Neanderthals. It's white and Asian people. It's European and Asian people. Eurasians are the Neanderthal DNA. So that being said, I need y'all to understand there's gonna be, if there's differences in our species or DNA species, whatever the fuck, right? If you got a piece of a DNA in a species that I don't have a piece of, and you are predispositioned to be more violent and controlling, just overall socio and psychopathic, then maybe that's the difference. And this is again a theory, right? Theories are just theories. Could be right, could be wrong, right? That's what a theory is. It's not something that's completely proven. But y'all got to look at what the common denominator is that Neanderthal DNA in my mind that has these people wanting to go out and control certain groups, take from certain groups, eliminate certain groups because they want to exalt themselves. So the Asians started it, and then when they couldn't do, well, let me say this right. The Asians started it, but again, nobody is as terrible as these Europeans. Because even when the Asians were doing it, it was not to the extent that the Europeans were doing it. And it was not to the violent extreme. It was definitely still some violence. But it was very extreme when the Europeans got their hands on human capital. So all of this to say that these two groups of people decided that they wanted to use black people's bodies to make a world in which they are the best. They are superior. It's always about superiority. They do anything for clout. Anything. It's always been about clout. It's always been about who is the best in these Eurasians' minds. And then black people started kind of following suit. They wanted the status. This is why you had black kingdoms having so much civil disrest because motherfuckers wanted to be the chief all the time. They wanted to be big dog. So you got fuckers betraying their own kingdom so that they can reign at the top with these Arabs helping them. And this is how Islam was able to take over, right? You have Islam was take over was that's why I say Islam and Christianity are not that different, but one, okay, I'm not gonna say that, but one, you know, is just a little bit more dangerous than the other, for lack of better words. But you had that's how Islam was took over in Africa, where you had these Arab people just coming and taking over. Of course, they took over Egypt first, which is Egypt's at the top of Africa, Ethiopia, moving on down, and then before you know it, you got these sultans consulting with African kingdoms, and then African kingdoms converting to Islam just so they can be under protection of the Arabs, and then you got the holy wars coming because these Europeans said, "Oh, Christianity. We like Christianity better. Let's use Jesus' death as the mascot for this." Boom. Now you got wars, literal tortures, literal, hey, you can enslave people as long as you are converting them to Christianity. This is what is happening. This is our history. You can look it up. You can do exactly what I did. Some of y'all don't even know how to look up shit, though. That's the problem. You just listen to what people tell you and don't verify. or you don't even just want to research these things so you can understand why you think the way you think. I want to know why. I'm a why person. Y'all ain't asking enough questions. And that's why you'll never have the answers. And my problem with humanity is just that y'all don't answer the right questions. You're not curious enough. You're not going through the process enough to know why you feel the way you feel about gay people, white people, black people, Hispanic people, whatever negative feelings you have about people, humans in general, dissect where it came from. I mean, to the depths of you can't look back no more. Like, this is what research is about. Okay, I have a certain feeling about myself, right? Why do I feel that way? Where did I first link this feeling to? What information did I gain? What happened what happened before I gained it? This is the whole process, and this is why psychology is one of the best fields in the world. Where it's crazy that people try to undermine psychology, because that's the only way we can understand the human mind is through psychology. How the fuck you gonna understand why the fuck you do what you do if you don't understand how you think? Why? How can you understand? You can't understand socialism without psychology. So the social issues that we have, there's a mindset, bro. There's a pathology. And where did it come from? That is what you find out. Me, I want to find out. I want to find out the history of humanity, because why in the fuck are we so fucked up? You ain't gonna know until you look back. You can't just be like, well, we just fucked up. That's it. And say all the ways that we fucked up. You can know all the ways that we fucked up, but do you know why? I can list down every way we fucked up, and I can give you why. I can give you a whole catalyst for a lot of the shit that we have going on. And this is how I know that I'm right about it, is because every day since I've written this book, there's been at least one thing to confirm that I know what I'm talking about. One thing every day when it comes to the problem of humanity. It's the division based upon race. It's the division based upon religion. It's the division based upon gender. It's the division based upon sexuality. It's the division based upon class. And it can go even more deeper than that, right? We can get into those individual things when it comes to religion. It's the division between different types of Christianity. It's the division between spirituality and Christian and religion itself. It's the difference between Christianity and Islam. It's the difference between Christianity and Judaism. No, I'm sorry, that word, I always fuck up the Jewish term. Judaism. Judaism. That's what I want to say. But no, y'all, it's that Southern tongue, girl. But yeah, so it's really, and I hate to get so deep all the time, but this is important, y'all. This is important. This is important. I'm upset. It's upsetting me and my homegirls, literally. Like, we talk about this shit. The world is shit. And before I end on this note, I wanna talk about Jesus real quick. And I know. And I want y'all to understand, and I say this almost on every video, because I want people to get the fact that I'm not Christian. I don't claim to be Christian. And I'm gonna tell you the one thing that makes me not claim to be Christian. It's only one thing. I don't believe in Jesus being the Son of God any more than you, me, him, she, her, them are the Son of God. I think we are all God's children. And I think it's not the Son, Father, and Holy Ghost. It's God's children, Father, and Holy Ghost. Because, yes, Jesus was special. I will never take away what Jesus did. Jesus was a martyr. He really did die for the people. He died for what the fuck he stood up for. And Jesus' tale is not only one of an example of what should want to strive to be like, it is also it's a cautionary tale of when you live your life in a way that other people don't understand. Hey, he's not really worldly like me. Like, I feel like every day I'm becoming less worldly every fucking day. I don't have sex. Just put my business out there. I want everybody to know I ain't had sex in going on 2 years. Am I gonna have sex again? Yes, I ain't that much like Jesus. But I haven't had sex going on. January be 2 years. I haven't had sex. I don't have sex. Um, I don't engage in a lot of stuff that a lot of people do. I don't do a whole bunch of gossiping. I do gossip now. I ain't gonna hold. Like I said, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't do a whole lot of gossiping. I don't hardly even be online. I don't even like social media anymore. There's a lot of things that I used to do that I don't do anymore, and it's because again, I'm getting closer and closer to source and my creator, and that is allowing me to appreciate, the spiritual leaders, because Jesus is a spiritual leader. But again, he wouldn't stand for a lot of shit that Christians are doing and what Christianity represents and how it was even spread. He wouldn't stand for this. And what I'm realizing again is I'm getting closer and closer to what I'm doing in my life, my purpose, and living in that authentically and purely and fully. I'm realizing that the voice, the central voice and theme of my message is what Jesus was talking about. All these things that we allow to distract us from loving each other, from again, skin tone, hair texture, body type. It can be from just even that, you deciding that fat people don't deserve whatever the fuck they deserve because a lot of y'all are fat phobic. All the things that what you have to understand is we strip all of this away. We're all the same. We're all people. We're all human. We're all God's children. Some of us know that more than others. I don't want to put my mouth on anything God created, unless it did harm to me. Now, you do some harm to me, I'm gonna talk shit. But just because you exist does not mean, and if you exist in not the correct way, whatever the fuck that means, right? That's that superior mindset. A lot of us are supremacists. The white is silent, but a lot of y'all got that mindset from white people being supremacists. Cause none of y'all are better than anybody. I don't give a fuck how much money you got. I don't give a fuck if your body T how T your body is. I don't give a fuck if it's natural, if you went on a new life. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. You're not more special than me. You're just not. And I'm not more special than you. The difference is I might know how special I am and you don't. That's always the difference. That's it. But we all are God's children. We all are God's children. And when we know that, when you finally understand that and you become the person who speaks about that, like Jesus did, when you speak about love in your neighbor, when you speak about not causing any people harm and not gossiping and not and actually sitting with the old people and the sick people and actually sitting with the drug dealers and the killers and actually giving a fuck about the people who are outcast, because that's what Jesus did. When you actually care about that, you start to realize the rest of the world really don't care about anybody but themselves for real. You can even be a black person experiencing the same thing another black person is. And if that black person is talking about some things that you just maybe you in what's the word I'm looking for, like you projected onto yourself, right? What the world believes. Maybe you a poor person who believes that poor people don't deserve what the fuck they, don't deserve to eat or whatever. Maybe you one of those people that poor people just need to work harder. Maybe you really ate the monster soup, right? Maybe you fell into it, right? Um, and you believe that about another black person. That's the whole point of the brainwashing. This is what they do. They want you to do their job for them. So you have internalized the supremacist mindset, even though you really ain't even in the position to be a supremacist because you're in the same position as somebody else. But looking at their position, you're projecting how you feel about that position onto them because really you feel that same way about yourself. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. If you want to know how the fuck people feel about themselves, you don't even have to ask them questions about themselves. Ask them questions about how they view the world. I can tell you everything you feel about yourself based on how you view the world, based on how you feel about religion, spirituality, black people, white people, slavery. I can tell everything about you. So when y'all be like, oh, no, 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 it's not important if somebody doesn't agree with me on social or world issues, that's bullshit because that tells you what they think about not only themselves, but you. Can they change? Yeah. Question is, will they? So if you, the cautionary tale of Jesus is he, the example, of course, you want to be like Jesus. You want to shake the table, literally. You want to shake the table when people are being nasty and evil to other people. You should shake the table. Cause that's what we supposed to do. If we really gonna be like Jesus, if we gonna really WWJD this thing, like maybe we need to bring that shit back. Cause a lot of y'all ain't doing what Jesus would do, and you should know that. Act like you know. But the cautionary tale is understand that when you become more enlightened, when you get into that Christ consciousness and you start talking your shit like how I talk my shit, it's gonna be a lot of backlash. And I'm not big enough to experience the most backlash. But I've already experienced a lot in this journey because I've always spoken out about, especially race issues. I've been speaking out about that since I was 17. I'm 36, so we're talking about damn near 20 years. Online, I've been talking about the same thing. So understand there's backlash when you want to love everybody. There's backlash when you want to hold people accountable. People will literally crucify you because they did it to him. So again, going back to what I said originally, I'm I follow Jesus more now, not being a Christian, than when I called myself a Christian. Because I know what it's really about, and I know he wouldn't stand for what Christian. And that's like I said, that's the one reason I don't call myself a Christian. But it's a little bit deeper than that too. It's not even the one reason outside of humans that I don't call myself a Christian, right? But the other reason is I don't want to be aligned with a lot of you Christians. A lot of y'all don't stand for shit, and the shit that you do stand for is worldly as fuck. You want to be a Christian when it is beneficial, when you want to cast aside certain groups of people, but Christianity is not, well, at least Christianity, let me clarify. Christianity is about casting out people because it's been like that from Salem witch trials, casting out women who use magic or literally just spiritual divinity, other elements of spiritual divinity outside of Christianity. It was casting out, Islam and having the Reconquista and having the Crusades, things that literally killed a lot of Muslim people and Jewish people, right? Okay, it's about that. That's what Christianity is about. It's about, hey, you all can go and have slaves as long as you convert them to Christianity. It's about that. That's what Christianity is about. But Christ, right? What Jesus is about, because separate the two. Learn to separate the two, including your link to the Bible. I wrote in my book, and I'm paraphrasing, I might not be saying it word for word because I say it differently every time. I can't remember exactly how I said it in the book. I got to read it again, but I said basically that there's no, there is no book written by man that is going to be the complete word of God. There's no book written by man that's going to be the complete word of God. Never. You can never convince me that. And I'm talking when I say completely, of course, I'm not saying that there's no elements of God in the Bible. Of course there are. God knows there's a lot of God in the Bible. I would never take that away. But there's a lot of human shit in there too. There's a lot of mankind's influence in that book. So no, when you read that book, focus on what's in red or what's in bold, whatever kind of text you got. Understand that who the motherfucker who created the version of the Bible that you are reading, King James himself, he was not a good man either. I want you to understand that first, right? So every time you open that book, you can rebuke him. And whatever his intentions was about that book, because his intentions about creating the King James version was not about spreading Christ's love. It was about money control, power. Religion is about power. Religion is for man, not God. It just got God in it. But separate Christ from Christianity. Christ from Christianity. God, for me, I separate God from Christian from Christ and Christianity too. Because yes, there are going to be moments where I'm always going to give Jesus his love, honor, and praise. Because much like we celebrate Malcolm, much like we celebrate Michael Jackson, just much like we celebrate Prince, much like we celebrate Whitney Houston, much like we celebrate all of the people, the black people who have done things in a certain sense that have led us to be more spiritually or emotionally evolved, whatever, musically, all of that shit, right? Creatively, all of the people that who passed on that we celebrate. I'm always gonna celebrate Jesus. I think Jesus is worth and deserve the praise that he gets. But I think that we have to take away the misconception of who he is. Because a lot of y'all are misconceived about him. And the Bible even talks about the people who are misconceived about who he is. Often. Because God knew that people was going to be misconceived. So that being said, the problem with humanity is humanity. It is, hey, I want to see how we're different. And either I'm going to celebrate on the good end. If I'm a good person, I'm going to celebrate those differences, right? Because I'm going to tell y'all, my vanity is I'm very happy that there is nobody on the planet just like me. I'm so happy. There's only one me. That's one of the best feelings in the world to me. Ain't nobody going to ever 100% think like me. Yeah, I'm going to meet people that think like me, like-minded, but 100%, nope. What a blessing. That's how much I love me because I don't want anybody to be like me. Not in that way. Not 100% like me. Yeah, you can take some traits, take some of my essence, take some things, yeah, because that's what God made me here for, but you'll never be me. Don't try it either. That's the beauty of it. So we got to learn how to love ourselves so much that we don't want other people to be just like us. Because the problem is a lot of humans want other people to be just like them. That's why white people are mad at black people. They want us to be them. Fuck no. Not you, bitch. And I don't want you to be me either. Really don't. So that's what the main problem is. Everybody want everybody to be like each other. Are we robots or are we human? So you want me to be straight because you straight. Because ain't no other way. Because when people be different, that's it. Y'all just want them to be the same. That's the main issue with humanity. Everybody want everybody to be the same. Anywho, I'm off this. You guys, again, make sure I'm going to open up this pre-order very soon, probably in 2 months. It'll be yeah, well shit, less than 2 months, a month and a half in January. And y'all, please make sure that you stay tuned so that you can be one of the first ones to get this book. I'm gonna have hard copies in just a couple of days so you can see what it's gonna really look like. Thorn to the Eye by J. Lovelii. Look at that. That cover art is so fire, bruh. Tell me, see if I see this, if I was to see this in a bookstore, this would catch my attention because I'm like, oh, what the hell is this about? Thorn to the eye. Why would I want a thorn to my eye? What does that mean? Huh? A black person's guide for unplugging from the system. What? I'm black. I don't like this system. How can I unplug? What ways am I plugged in the first place? That's what this does, right? So I love you guys. If you watch this, that's for kudos to you. Happy holidays and all that good shit. I'm trying to think when I post this. Will it be? I think this will be the holiday week that I post this. If not, I'll say it again. See y'all on the next one.